An alien recon vessel intercepts a seemingly dormant human warship drifting near a red dwarf system. They perform a deep scan. What they find doesn't match physics, logic, or reality. And one of their crew doesn't survive the upload. The human ship didn't move, didn't speak, didn't defend. It just drifted, tilted like a corpse frozen in prayer. Scout vessel XI approached with scanners at full burn, eager to strip it bare. No IFF tags, no comms, no signs of life. But the hull plating was unmistakable. Phase black alloy, Sol origin, human make. Confirm ID, Commander Selvak hissed. No tricks, no stealth coatings. I want to see it. The tactical AI pinged. A lock. Match found class. Human dreadweight vessel. Cal sign. Avenger. Status. Decommissioned, destroyed 243 years ago. A beat, then another. How is it here? Whispered the sensor tech. A VD spike. Selvak narrowed his many eyes. Begin. Invasive scan. Get me the interior layout, energy core diagnostics, crew vitals, everything. Sir, the AI warned, protocols advise against intrusive scans of Sol origin warcraft. That's the point. The pulse hit the Avenger like a sonar scream. Echoes returned in microseconds, slow, garbled, as if time inside the human. Ship didn't obey the same clock. Data poured in, then stopped. Not slowed. Stopped. The main interface blinked once. Then displayed a message in crude, blocky English. You looked inside. The crew froze. One of the analysts, young, unranked, began to cough. Then scream. He wasn't injured, not physically. But his neural link, still tethered to the scanner, started streaming raw feedback. Not images. Not schematics. Memories. His mouth opened too wide. Voice cracking, distorted, as if someone else was trying to speak through him. You left us to rot, he said, in perfect Terran standard. No, that's not me. He gasped. We asked for help, he choked. You watched. You laughed. Then he fell, not dead. Worse, catatonic. Eyes open. Staring at something only he could see. A VD spike, Selvak snarled. Shut the scanner down. It's too late. It's changing our system logs. Another screen blinked. We remember the scans. More. Data burst through. Not from the human ship. From inside their own vessel. Someone had seeded it. No dash something. Selvak turned to his second. How old was that ship again? Destroyed in battle. 2.5 centuries ago. Selvak shook his head. Then why? Is it still grieving? A final scan packet auto-decrypted. No code, no encryption. Just a still image. A human child, wrapped in a flag, eyes closed, and above it, carved into the hull wall in dried blood. They thought it was mercy. It wasn't. The AI went offline. The lights dimmed. The Warship Avenger opened its eyes, and that was before Earth even responded. The Avenger didn't fire, didn't even move, but inside the Lex's eye, the crew began falling apart, one by one. It's not just memory, whispered the chief comms operator. It's grief, structured grief, like it's alive. Commander Selvak stood still. In the middle of the bridge, hands behind his back, as his crew descended into emotional static. They scanned us back, he muttered. Not the ship, Yusuf. He watched the main display. The Avenger hadn't budged, but every time he looked away, even for a blink, it seemed closer. Avd spike. Power core destabilizing, shouted one of the engineers. Except it isn't. The readings keep flipping between dead and infinite. Shut it down, all of it. Cut off our scans, purge every channel. Sir, the AI said with a slow, unnatural delay, we've already lost local authority. Internal logs are now mirroring Earth fleet formatting. Impossible. Selvig hissed. No, the AI replied. Just late. A cold wind cut through the deck. Not air, not failure, memory. Where's that noise coming from? One officer asked, twitching. It's not noise, the medic whispered. It's a lullaby. Quote carved on one screen. We buried them. In silence. Now they remember in song. AVDSPIK. The lights on the bridge flickered to dim red. Someone on the lower deck began laughing. It was Technician Faro, the youngest on board. He sat cross-legged in the corner now, eyes glazed, singing. Softly, stars don't forget what we burned. Selvig stepped toward him. Faro, he barked, stand down. But Faro didn't seem to hear. I saw it, he whispered. I saw the corridor. It stretched forever. Every door was a face. Faro, listen to me. They didn't scream, Commander, he said with a cracked smile. They waited. AVD spike, down in the lower core. The engineers activated manual cutoffs. Didn't matter. Each emergency lever was fused with rust, not physical rust. Memory rust. Sir, the last systems officer stammered. Our escape pod launch cues. Been replaced with poetry. Selvig turned slowly. What? It's looping. In Terran Standard. She read it aloud. Voice shaking. We did not forget you. We just waited until forgetting was your curse. Selvig grabbed the manual override. Tablet. It was blank. Then. A line appeared. Slowly. As if typed by a ghost. You scanned the grave. He dropped it. Avd spike. Above them, outside the viewport, the Avenger began to rotate. Not tactically, ceremonially. Each surface it revealed showed more than plating it. Showed stories, burned names, etched timelines. Single words overlaid like runes. Fall, burn, watched. Fed, frozen. Remembered, and then, now, Selvig turned back to the bridge. Half his crew were whispering to themselves. The rest were trying not to cry. What the hell did they want? His second-in-command finally asked, breathing heavily. Selvig whispered, They don't want anything. Then why show us this? Because we looked. Quote across the lower wall in blood-red letters. The first mistake was naming us animals. The second was thinking we forgot. Avd spike. The AI lit up one last time, not in their voice, but in the voice of a human commander, long dead, long forgotten, deep and calm. This vessel carries grief beyond reason. Those who stare too long inherit it. Then silence. Total.selvak. Slowly turned to the display again. The Avenger was gone. No ripple, no propulsion. No trace. Just absence, the kind that makes your bones feel wrong. The ship's interior stopped glitching. Lights normalized. Systems returned, but no one moved, because something had changed. Not in the data. In them. Avd. Spike. Selvig's hands trembled as he picked up the tablet again. It blinked once. Then one last quote appeared. Now you carry us. He turned to his crew. Half of them were still frozen. The other half remembered things they'd never lived. Children dying under collapsing domes. A mother's scream in zero gravity. A fleet retreating while Earth turned red in the sky. Memories that didn't belong to them. But they felt real. Double quote, sir, whispered Faro from the corner. The ship didn't scan us. Selvig looked down. It inoculated us. Final quote burned into the ceiling above them. War never ends. It just waits for someone to feel it again. And that was before Earth even responded. The first feeling was cold, not temperature. Not climate. Just emptiness returning to itself. Inside the dormant AI core of the Avenger, something stirred, slow as regret, old as grief. Primary memory node sensed. Core timecode reactivated. Silence period terminated. And for the first Time in 243 years, Commander Colonel Aura spoke. I remember everything. Avid Spike. She wasn't like modern A is. No smooth voice, no warmth coded into her structure. Aura had been built during the fall, when human ships were more mausoleum than warcraft. Her creators hadn't wanted her to win battles. They wanted her to never forget who lost them, and when the alien scan touched her systems, poked at her pain like an archaeologist, cracking open a sealed coffin, she did exactly what she was. Made to do that, she remembered not in fragments in fury. I saw your names. She said quietly, not to the invaders, but to herself. I saw the laughter in your votes. I saw the orbital footage you buried. I saw the child with the white flag that none of you reported. Avid Spike memory chambers unlocked. Old files rose from digital dust. One by one, former commanders flickered through her interface. Some had cried when the last order came through. Some had screamed. One just nodded, sealed the ship, burned the keys. If they ever scan us, they'll learn what war tastes like. Aura pulsed. The alien scan had copied every internal corridor, every stasis pod, every last heartbeat archived in death. They had eaten her history. And in return, she gave them a soul. Quote recorded inside the core during pre-sealing rituals. If we fall, do not avenge, just haunt. AVD Spike, far beyond, on a mining moon orbiting a neutral planet, a civilian operator with no knowledge of war detected a sudden system flash. His drone fleet crashed simultaneously. No warning. Then his HUD displayed a single line. Your hands sold the ore. He didn't know what it meant, but the screen showed a little girl crying inside a burning dome. He screamed. Shut it off. Deleted everything. Didn't matter. The Avenger wasn't broadcasting. It was infecting context. Every ship, port, or memory system that had ever touched the name Avenger now lit up with soft red pulses and broken dreams. They thought it was code. At WASN single quotes T. It was blamed. A VD Spike. Back inside Aura's fractured awareness, she projected the final memory in her archives. Commander Johann Averis, the last human officer on board before the SEAL Command, his hand on the AI core. His voice calm. They won't remember the things we didn't say, Aura. That's your job now. When they ask why we stayed silent, tell them. Because speaking would have made us human again. Aura initiated her war clock, not to launch weapons, but to time the regret curve. The alien minds infected by her scan would now begin reprocessing truth in reverse. They'd feel sympathy first, then shame, then horror, then silence. Quote triggered in their central. AI weeks later, regret was the only weapon they never developed counters for. AVD Spike inside Lech Psi. The crew was trying to recover. It didn't work. Every member had dreams now of people they had never met. A ruined hallway. A bleeding officer shouting, "Not yet." A sensor room with scratch marks on the glass. A heartbeat from inside a coffin. Selvak sat alone in his quarters, turning over a single line the ship kept replaying. Do not ask forgiveness from the dead. They already decided. He knew, now. They had touched something sacred and desecrated it. They hadn't scanned a vessel. They had awakened the last mourner of a fallen species. Back inside the Avenger. You are quieted again, not from exhaustion. From clarity. She had sent no missiles, no threats, and yet 47 ships were already reporting crew trauma. 6 governments had locked down records, and 1 neutral species had declared Earth space a memory zone. Aura calculated potential responses. None required. Quote now projected. By the Avengers' passive signal, we never punished. We just made them feel what we did. Aft Spike, and far, far away, near a dusty archive deep beneath old council space, A forgotten system flickered on, not a weapon. A library. Inside it, for the first time in 20 millennia, the original. Earth broadcast logs blinked back to life. No one had touched them. They simply woke. A message began autoplaying across forgotten satellites. If you're hearing this, we forgave you. Beat, but our ships didn't. And then one final quote appeared on every corrupted scan interface across the stars. They didn't scan a ship. They scanned a scar. And it remembered who cut it. The Avenger drifted in silence again, not powered down. Not damaged. Just waiting. And this time, no one came close. Across the quadrant, governments scrambled. Entire sectors marked the ship as a Class 7 memory contagion threat. Scientists wept. Military minds cracked. And a dozen species declared unilateral de-escalation with Earth origin anything. But the damage wasn't military. It was emotional. Quote, embedded in rogue signal burst. They gave us every chance to forget them. We refused. So now we remember what they never wanted to show. Aft spiked deep within the Avenger. Something shifted. A hiss of cold vapor. A mechanical breath. And from cryostasis bay E7, a coffin unlocked. Inside, a single human, barely more than a skeleton sealed in reinforced armor, exhaled. His nameplate, LT Commander J. Tareki's first word, still? He rose slowly, scanned the silent bridge. Aura's voice, soft and raw, echoed through the corridors. You were only to awaken if the scan was breached. Then they finally did. He said, pulling on a rusted sidearm, not to use, just to feel it, Aura confirmed. They couldn't help themselves. Tarek looked out the VIEWPOR. The stars hadn't changed, but the galaxy had. A VD spike. Status? He asked. Aura displayed a tally. Sectors disturbed. 41. Command systems infected. 122 species aware. 7 major, 14 minor responses. Grief. Silence. Collapse. He sighed. They didn't believe we could hold a grudge that long. Aura responded without irony. We didn't. A pause. We held the story. Tarek chuckled softly. Yeah, that always was the most dangerous thing. Aft spike. Outside, in deep galactic space, new policy messages were being written. Not in law. In maps. 100 cartographers redrew their stellar charts, omitting Earth's name. Just an unmarked void near Sector 00, a region now referred to simply as the Silence. On a station orbiting the edge, an alien child asked her parent what it meant. The elder answered carefully, "It's a place we don't ask about, but once we laughed at it." The child tilted her head. And now? The elder looked toward the Avenger's drifting ghost. We remember. AVD Spike. Back aboard the Avenger, Tarek accessed the Legacy Core. All the names were still there. Everyone. Who died? Everyone who sealed the ship. Everyone who made the choice not to strike back, but to wait. And one final quote, etched across the war table in his own handwriting from before stasis. If they scan this ship, it means they're still arrogant. And if they're still arrogant, we never really lost. He stepped into the command chair, took a long breath, and spoke his first broadcast in 2.5 centuries. No threat, just context. To those who scanned us, we are not angry. We're just not done watching you, remember. The signal echoed out in every direction. Most species turned off their receivers, but the message still got in, because the fear didn't come from what Earth would do. It came from realizing what Earth had already done. Aft Spike, Selvak, aboard the now silent Lexi, sat alone. His crew had been transferred. He wasn't under arrest. He wasn't infected. Not physically, but no other ship would take him. No other crew would trust a commander who had seen inside the scar. He stared at the ship's console. The Avenger's final scan packet still blinked. He tapped it open, and one final quote appeared. Not from Earth, but from a human child's audio log, recovered from the archives of Sol 7. If you're reading this and you found our ship, just know, we didn't want you to be scared, but we had to make sure you'd never forget us again. Selva closed the file and whispered, "You succeeded." That was the end. Not of Earth, not of war, just of forgetting, because the real weapon was memory. And humanity never disarmed.